Have a rail. You had.
My mom is just undoing like literally hours and hours of programming.
Better, but you better not walk in rain. That's true.
Yes, especially downhill on a ramp.
You know, it was very interesting. I think I made my best speech. That was my best speech, and I was so proud of it. It was pouring. It was pouring. And I said, this speech was so good. And then I said, how do I get down? Sir, you have to go down the ramp. I said, the same one I came up, it was a long, like an ice skating rink. And they said, yes, sir. And I had the general next to me, the commandant of cadets, nice guy, big guy, strong guy. I said, General, and he's wearing combat boots. They don't slip too much. I said, General, get ready, because I may have to grab you here. But I said, I'm not falling. There's no way. So I'd go tippy-toe down the thing. That was a mistake, because it didn't look so good. I even agree it was. But I got killed, and they never covered that speech. I said, it was my best. Someday, in 100 years, they're going to put that speech on. I really... But you can't fall. You just can't fall, no matter what. Just can't allow it to happen. And I better not allow, especially after saying this, I better not allow it to happen with me. But things like that do happen.
So in past interviews that we've had together, and we've had many over the years, yeah. I have asked you repeatedly about what you think about Joe Biden's cognitive state. I've asked you about, is he up to the job physically, mentally? You have been very reluctant to go there. I'm not reluctant. To me, does everyone agree with me that this guy's cognitively not there? I doubt he knows what day of the week it is today. That's how bad I think it's gotten for him. Why are you reluctant to call that out?
Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this. I actually called Sean, and I asked Sean not to joke about it.
I was joking
because he used to joke about it. And I said, honestly, I don't think it looks good for you or for anybody for you to joke about it, because it's a serious problem.
I was talking about sippy cup and warm milky at night and bedtime stories. Yeah.
So I said, I just don't think it's good for anybody. And, you know, it's not appropriate. You can speak about it if you want, but I don't think you should joke about it. And you really didn't after that.
Well, now I realize how serious it is. I mean, especially, and we'll get into foreign policy and, you know, with China, Russia, and Iran forming, I'm calling it a new axis of evil. Yeah. I'm very, very concerned.
Yeah, he's calling it.
He's abdicated our role on the world stage. Let me start.
I do say this. I think it's the most serious time and the most dangerous time right now in the history of our country. We have nuclear weapons on lots of different areas. We have Russia, we have North Korea, we have Iran is going to soon have one. That should have never happened. I had that set up. We would have made that deal within a week after the election, and they would have never had a nuclear weapon. But nobody picked it up because I terminated the Iran nuclear deal. But this is the most dangerous time in the history of our country because of the power of the weaponry. And we have somebody that doesn't understand what's happening. And it's a very dangerous thing. It's a very bad thing. I mean, some really bad things. If you would see, and I got to see it, if you would see the power of what we're talking about, this isn't army tanks going back and forth shooting at each other. This is something that's a whole different place. This is annihilation of the world, literally. The power is so horrible. And I was actually working on something with Putin where we start getting rid of nuclear weapons. It's just too powerful. And you know, all of a sudden, people are talking about nuclear weapons all the time. I wouldn't let people talk about it. I had somebody come down from MIT. I was talking about that. My uncle was a great professor for many years at MIT, and I had somebody come.
Remember when Trump undid Barack Obama's like signature accomplishment with the Iran denuclearization agreement? That was fun. That certainly made the world a safer place. Like the top of the hour ad break. Here's a 3-minute ad break now.
The best thing you can do is not talk about him. Now they're talking about him all the time. That's all they talk about. In fact, I guess Putin announced the other day he's moving nuclear weapons to Belarus. So this is a very dangerous time for our country, but it's a very dangerous time for the whole world.
You end your rally speeches now with music in the background, and you start with, "We are a nation in decline." And this is a very different America than what it was when you left it as president 2.5 years ago. Yeah. And I can point to the border. I can look at laws all over the country, defund, dismantle, no bail laws. We've given up energy independence. We're importing oil from Venezuela and OPEC. And who would have believed that? And we now see 2/3 of our country are living paycheck to paycheck. You see some people now cashing in their retirement just so they can make ends meet. Others are putting, you know, bare necessities on credit cards. I'll mention this in Iowa because I have, you know, a radio show with 720 stations. Farmers call me. The cost of fertilizer is 3 times what it used to be. The cost of seed is twice what it used to be. And if you can get the parts to repair your equipment, you know, it's 4 times what it used to be. I've never seen it this bad or this decline this precipitously.
So we were energy independent. Think of it, 3 years ago. And what people don't know is that we have, I call it liquid gold, because it's gold, it's better than gold. We have liquid gold under our feet more than any other nation, more than Saudi Arabia, more than Russia. We're energy independent. Within 6 months, we would have been energy dominant. And we were going to sell energy to Europe and lots of other places. And we were going to make so much money doing it because it's such a big world. You know, it's such a big business. It's all encompassing. And that's what started the inflation. I mean, the energy, we stopped drilling and all of a sudden gasoline's going up to $5, $6 a gallon.
They're both whistling because they both have fake teeth.
Reagan tax cut. And the biggest, and you know, I think more importantly, Sean, we gave you the biggest regulation cuts. That's why we had more jobs than we ever had before. We've never had anything close. And we did all of that. And then to end that, but we were going to pay off debt. We were going to get the debt because the money is so big. It's so massive. You look at Saudi Arabia, the money they have, no nation's ever had anything like it. And we have more than they have. We were going to pay off debt. We were going to get the energy prices down. We were going to get interest rates down. It was like we had something going that, and within 6 months, we would have been dominant because we would have taken over Europe. We would have literally been supplying the energy to Europe. And we would have made a fortune. We would have paid down the debt. We would have cut the taxes. It was going to be so beautiful.
Let me focus on the issues that I think bread and butter issues that impact everybody. I want to know, if you get elected president, how fast you're going to be able to fix our borders, bring us back to energy independence, how quickly you might be able to work to change the school system, bring back law and order and safety and security to this country and every town and every city, because I think people need that if they want to pursue happiness. How quickly can you shift gears and move this country?
Okay. I think very quickly. Let me just say, so I heard DeSantis saying, oh, well, I get 8 years, I get 8 years, he gets 4. You don't need 4 and you don't need 8. You need 6 months. Within 6 months, I said, within 6 months, this can be done. Other than, you don't need 8 years. And frankly, I wouldn't vote for him because he said, you need 8 years, you need 6 months. We're going to drill. We're going to get our energy down. When the energy comes down, other things come down. And we're going to take care of things. We're going to immediately close up the border. We had the greatest border. We had the safest border in the history of our country. Now we have the worst border in the history of the world. There's no, and I say this during rallies. We love our rallies. But I say it during, there's never been a third world country that allowed people to pour into a country. They'd stand there with sticks and stones if they had to. What's happening to our country? But in terms of doing it, you don't need 8 years and you don't need 4 years. We can have a lot of it done because these guys are amazing. The oil guys, they will be. In fact, I had it so low that we had to raise it or they would have all been out of business. We had so much oil, we didn't know what to do with it. We bought a lot of it for very little for the Strategic National Reserves that he then took to keep the prices down before an election. You know, we had the Strategic National Reserves almost full. And then Biden came along and took it to keep prices down. It's called artificially down. And the thing is almost empty now. And that's meant for times of war. It's not meant to keep a price down for an automobile. It's meant for war, for real problems. And we had it 75, think of it, 75 million barrels. And I bought it for peanuts. And Congress, I had to fight Congress. And the pricing was so crazy and so good. And we needed a place because we had so much. So we started filling up. This guy comes along, and he takes it for automobiles, for people so they, before the election, so the price could keep down. Now it's totally empty. It's the emptiest I think it's been in 50 years.
Down 48%.
And it's so sad. And by the way, the price is still very high.
I don't think gas went over $3 a gallon, if I'm not mistaken, when you were president as an average.
We had it down to $1.87. We actually had a little period of time where we had it.
Bro, you're clapping. It was during COVID, dude.
But the energy companies, the oil companies weren't going to last. We had to say, I had said, wait a minute, I love it in one way, but in another way, they're all going to go
This
bust.
is such a frustrating fucking way to describe a situation where he's literally saying, like, gas prices were so low. It's like, dog, it was during COVID. Like, what do you mean?
That's a good problem, by the way. That's a much better problem than it's at $6 and $7 and $8 and $9.
All right, so we have this new, I call it a new axis of evil.
Yeah.
You have China aligned with Russia, aligned with Iran. Let's start with China. Here you have a Chinese spy balloon. There are no consequences. Here you have, just this week, a Chinese simulator that takes out all of our warships in the Pacific and the China Sea.
Very sophisticated.
You have a confrontation with a fighter jet of China with our fighter jet. They come, what, within 400 feet or whatever it was. Joe Biden's defense secretary wants to meet with their defense secretary, and they basically give Joe Biden the middle finger and say no. And you see that there's a growing Cold War with China, who's aligned with two other hostile regimes. And I got to believe that's not a good situation for America right now, because, you know, Putin seems to have no qualms about taking down a drone out of the sky. No consequences for him, no consequences for China. What would you do?
So we had a great thing with China, and until COVID came in, then I didn't even want to deal with them. But I had a great relationship with President Xi, but I was charging them tariffs, and if I didn't do, because they were dumping steel like nobody's ever seen anything like it before, destroying our steel mills and our steel plants. And I put on a 50% tariff, and all of a sudden our steel industry was doing good. I did it for washing machines. I did it for dryers. I did it for a lot of things because they were destroying a lot of our businesses. But we were taking in hundreds of billions of dollars. And we're in Iowa. I gave the farmers $28 billion. You know that, $28 billion. And in one of my moments, I said, there's no way I lose Iowa. I gave the farmers $28 billion from China. I took $28 billion. I asked Sonny Perdue, who was the Secretary of Agriculture, and a very good guy, said, Sonny, how badly have our farmers been hurt by what China was doing? They were killing our farmers, right? Just killing them. He said about $28 billion. I said, that's okay. And I had $28 billion worth of checks written out to all of the farmers of our country. And I said, there's no way I'm going to lose this state. And there's no way I'm losing Nebraska and some other ones. But I've had more people thanking me for that. But think of it.
Please ban me. Please ban me. I can't watch gay porn. Sean is slopping him up and riding him. Even my mom heard that and laughed at it, by the way. Sean is slopping him up and riding him way too hard. I'm homophobic. I can't see this.
And then you also have said that if you're president, you can end this very quickly.
Yeah, I'd say
how?
If I'm president, and by the way, this is a much worse position than before it started. Before it started, it was easy. He wasn't going to do it, and I had conversations. And it was always the apple of his eye. I mean, I could see that. But I said, you're not going to do it. And if you do it, we're going to have problems like you've never had before. He understood. I said things. He said, you don't mean that. I said, I mean it 100%. And he didn't totally believe me, but he believed me 10%, and that's all he had to do. He knew that there was going to be a problem.
Can I just say,
and President Xi,
you're implying something here. You basically said, I'd obliterate you. Is that what you said to him?
I said things that were very bad, very nasty. And
kind of like what?
And, you know, honestly, I got along. And he said, you don't mean that. It had to do with Moscow. He said, you don't mean that. I said, I do. I'll never talk about it again, but I do. He said, you don't mean it. You don't mean it. And we then went on to other subjects. But I don't think he believed me, but he believed me 10%. That's all he had to believe me. 5% would be good enough. But I had the same conversation with President Xi about Taiwan, President Xi of China. I said, President, don't do it with Taiwan. Don't even think about doing it with Taiwan. He was never going to do it. And now he's circling, ships are circling, planes are flying over the top. 28 bombers last week went over right over the middle of it. A lot of stuff going on. And a lot of this has to do also with the fact that we were so incompetent in the way we left Afghanistan. It was so, I think it was the most embarrassing and most incompetent moment in the history of our country. And I think both of them looked at that and they said, wow, this is not the same country that we know. We rebuilt our military. I rebuilt the military. New jets, new everything. We had everything. And they gave away $85 billion worth of the best equipment in the world. Nobody can even believe it.
Oh my God, he's saying Trump rebuilt the military and
right after
Joe
us,
Brandon gave it to Ukraine. Oh my God, that's
Afghanistan
awesome.
is one of the biggest arms merchants in the world because they don't need 700,000 guns and rifles, 70,000 armor-plated trucks and different things, but millions of dollars for some of them. 700,000 arms. Think of it, rifles. 70,000 trucks. There's not a used car lot in all of Iowa or in all of the country.
Oh, he's saying we gave it to Afghanistan, my bad.
500. These people
That's
had
even dumber.
70,000, and some of these are, a big, heavy armor-plated stuff for the roadside bombs. Soleimani, Soleimani was not good.
Soleimani!
That situation was taken care of. And al-Baghdadi was not good, and that situation was taken care of. But we did a lot. Our military is great. A lot of things going on with our military, with the woke and all this nonsense. They're not learning to fight and protect us from.
They're learning to be gay, folks.
They want to go woke. They want to go woke. That's all they talk about now. I see letters that are being sent. It's horrible. I mean, it's really a serious problem. That would end immediately.
They want to go woke.
But when you look at what we did, right. we rebuilt our military. We added Space Force. Everyone said, oh, Space Force, what is that all about? When they came in, Biden wanted to end it. He said, what is this, a game? It's going to turn out to be one of the most important. It hasn't happened since Air Force 78 years ago. And it's unbelievable now. China
it's pretty wild,
and Russia,
but he's right. He will be in history forever
and now
for that.
we're leading in space because of Space Force. It was a very important move.
We got to take a break. More with former President Donald Trump. We'll ask him.
Yeah, he needs to take a breather after throating, dude. And to those of you who are like, Hasan, City Skylines, City Skylines, yes, I will play it after this throating is done, okay? I said I would do it. Promises made, promises kept, folks. I'm fucking do it. Fuck you. Okay, calm down. I don't get it. Is Diablo 4 accessible for everybody, by the way? You said you would yesterday, liar. Well, I promised I would do it today. Early access for pre-orders. Can I just get it right now if I bought the deluxe edition? Post-nut clarity setting in. What do you mean? It's $1 million. Yes, $80 up front. Yeah, I mean, I don't give a fuck. If I get 4-day early access, I'll pay $80. I don't give a shit. You're crazy. Why not play Democracy 4? Only 100 and insane amounts of pay to win. MTX. Yeah, I don't care. I'm genuinely fearful about this fucking situation with City Skylines because I have no fucking clue how to play, and it seems very confusing. Yo, are your Outlast and Until Dawn VODs really gone? I don't know. They should be out here somewhere. I don't know. Anne, can you şimdi gelip alır mısın köpeği? Lütfen bir dışarı çıkar da bir kakasını yapsın. Yani çişini yaptı devamlı da kaka yapmadı hala. Kaka yapmadı hala. Çıkarır mısın? Ask XUC for tutorials for City Skylines. I don't know much, but basically when you start succeeding too much, traffic will arrive. See, she's not bargaining now. That's why she's allowed to go outside. You know what I mean? Just play. Are you planning on watching the Matt Walsh movie? Frick no. 15-minute tutorial? Okay, while we're waiting.
Welcome back to my City Skylines for New Players series. Today we are going to do a fail-proof start. I'm going to show you how to get a city started without any issues. And but before we do that, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you are new to the channel, I have loads of City Skylines content that you will probably enjoy. Anyway, so getting a new...
Bro, I mean, oh God. I immediately know exactly what kind of audience this game has, okay? Immediately. I mean, this is like, holy cheating? Why is that a cheat? Fucking Paradox Games, dude. This is such a dumb thing that I did. You're on Twitch? I know. That's why everyone has been really excited for me to play this fucking game.
New city started. You go to new game, and then, of course, you find the map you want. We're going to do a base game map. We'll just do Two Rivers. It's a good map. It is the basis of my Havenbury series, and I know it is from the base game. But anyway, we'll just do start, and then we'll get started. Okay, so when the game loads up, first of all, you get this little welcome thing that we're just going to close that off. But you find your starting square, and here is the starting square for this map. And you want to find your entry point, which is here. So this one, the highway connects in, and it should be right-hand traffic. Yep, there we go. And what you need to do first is build a road, and then you can build it.
I mean this as lovingly as possible, but I bet Alan Fisher has played this game before. Oh, 100%. Wait, what the fuck?
The plan also reduces some form.
Wait, is that over? They cut my man off. Trump is gone. Literally become a city planner to avoid finishing Resident Evil. All right, it's over. Trump is done. He's dead, I think. I think he died. Because you abandoned him? Oh, no, he's back. I was just about to start. I was literally just about to start city planner.
All right, we are back with Donald J. Trump. We're outside of beautiful Des Moines, Iowa for the hour. We will be taking questions from the audience. And tonight, as the 2024 race heats up, President Trump and other Republican candidates are now crisscrossing the state. And, of course, the former president has a commanding lead in both Iowa and nationally. The GOP field, though, is growing. Last week, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis threw his hat in the ring, and soon we expect that former Vice President Mike Pence will be in. Anti-Trump zealot Chris Christie will join in.
Anti-Trump zealot. Anti-Trump zealot. They're booing
Let's talk
him.
About what? I guess we're up to 9 people after next week.
That's a good thing, isn't it? I think pretty good. But I don't think it matters. I don't know why people are doing it. They're at 1%. Some are at 0. I hear Chris Christie's coming in. He was at 6% in New Jersey, which is, I love New Jersey, but 6% approval rating in New Jersey. What's the purpose? And he's polling at 0. And others are, I call him Ada Hutchinson. I don't call him Asa. I call him Ada Hutchinson. I gave him a little name for some reason, for certain reasons. But this guy, nobody knows who the hell he is. Never good. And some, it's fine, but I don't understand what they're doing. Now, maybe there's something wrong, but when you're at 1% or less, 1%, it says 1% with an arrow pointing left. There's one guy who's at 0 with an arrow pointing left. That means he's at less than 0. So it is what it is. I really go after the one who's second, and I think the one who's second is going down so much and so rapidly that I don't think he's going to.
Someone said it's Ada is a woman's name. He's calling him a woman's name. He's saying he's a woman. Brilliant. Fucking the GOAT.
You're not allowed to get angry at the press.
Let me.
He's so good.
At the fake news, he got angry.
He did it again.
So
he's doing it again.
Probably became in history the most investigated president of all time.
Times 10.
Okay. So.
But if my poll numbers went down, it would all end. Every time my poll goes up, I say, oh, this is a problem. But we had a poll today that showed I was 44 points above number 2 and beating Biden.
He won't even say his name.
Beating Biden by 11 points. Beating Biden by 11 points and beating Biden by 15 and 16 points.
He called him number 2.
And he's not doing well against Biden.
Let me ask you, because you are.
Because we can't take a chance of this election.
I think a lot of people agree with that. I don't think things have been as bad. Turned so badly so quickly. The third issue is there's a special counsel that's appointed, and news broke yesterday that there might be a tape recording that quote, where you acknowledged that you understood
Yeah.
that these were classified documents. First of all, do you know who this call may be with? Do you know anything
No,
about it?
I don't know anything about it. All I know is this. Everything I did was right. We have the Presidential Records Act, which I abided by 100%. Biden has 1,850 boxes with a lot of classified stuff that he's not supposed to have. In his case, I have the right to declassify as president. He's got 1,850 boxes that he doesn't want anyone to see.
Everything I've done is right, and Biden is the one who's done it wrong.
Washington, D.C., where nobody even speaks English in Chinatown. Chinatown is it's in favor of China. And he has boxes in Chinatown. They took those boxes and they sent them to Boston to his lawyer, so his lawyer could look through them and probably do things that you're not supposed to do. No,
Chinatown in favor of China. Nobody speaks English there.
I have to tell you, Dershowitz and a couple of very good guys wrote an article today. The Tobacco King, you know who the Tobacco King, he did a great job on the tobacco companies. They wrote an article today that this is a disgrace that they're even looking at this stuff. There was nothing done wrong, nothing whatsoever. Now look at the boxes with Biden, where they're in his garage, they're all over the floor, they're sitting under his Corvette with the grease and everything else. On a garage door that you could cut with a scissor, and no Secret Service. I have Secret Service all over the place. Mar-a-Lago is a fort. It's literally, she built that as the Southern White House. But when you look at it, and it's another, it's a continuation of the greatest witch hunt of all time.
He's such a fucking ledge, dude. He said you can cut Biden's garage door with scissors. Like, it was so unsecure. With
the election. And let me tell you, DOJ actually you talk about Bragg, the DA of New York.
People don't care about documents, do they? No, they don't. Not even a little bit. But it's pretty funny. I think the only reason why people would care about it is if there is actually a recording of Donald Trump saying that he wanted to give it to someone.
The top guy in the Justice Department into that office to make sure Trump gets in trouble. Can you believe it? It's never, ever happened before. And then Hillary Clinton's lawyer from, I guess it's Paul Weiss, left Paul Weiss to work in the prosecutor's office because he hates Trump and he wants to get Trump. And then nobody wanted to do anything because they say, Trump didn't do anything wrong, including Bragg originally said Trump didn't do anything wrong. And then he prosecutes for what he said was not wrong. But they took this guy, and they put him in there, and he left the firm and he went in. It's a big, Pomerantz, Mark Pomerantz. And he left to become a prosecutor. He was a Democrat lawyer, and now he's trying to prosecute me. And then what happened is they wouldn't do what he wanted to do because it was too bad even for them. So this guy left and he writes a book during the process. They tell me what he did is criminal. They tell me. Now let's see what happens. But he's in a lot of trouble. So here's a prosecutor left and he wrote a book during the prosecution. But I've been going through this for 7 years. Russia, all of it. The Mueller report, which was no collusion. After 2.5 years, there was no collusion with Russia. I was the worst thing. Putin would say, they say you like me. He said, you are the worst guy that we've ever had to deal with. I'm the one that stopped the pipeline, the big pipeline going up to Germany.
Yeah, totally. Putin was like, sir, you're so brilliant. Your dick is the largest we've ever seen out of all the presidents.
I said, you're allowing Russia to build a pipeline through Europe? I stopped it. It was stopped dead. And then the election came about, and Biden came in. One of the first things he did was allow Russia to complete the pipeline. I had it stopped. And then they say, I'll tell you what, they're a party of disinformation. They'll say Trump is soft on Russia. I'm the hardest on Russia.
To be fair, Biden stopped it too. You know what I mean?
The hardest on China by a factor. I took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. And as I said, no other president ever took in 10 cents. And you know what? China respected us. And President Xi respected your president. And he didn't want to have any more tariffs. And he didn't want to have any more sanctions. But he respected us. And now he doesn't respect. They don't even return phone calls.
Abortion now is back as a real campaign issue. Yeah. And then issues I didn't think when I started my radio career in 1987 I'd be talking a lot about, but education, kids, gender identity classes, CRT, I never thought we'd really have this deep debate about whether or not biological men could be playing in women's sports. When
so crazy.
On all of these issues,
So crazy.
You know, what is the best way that you see to settle?
Well, I did something that nobody thought was possible. I got rid of Roe v. Wade. And by doing that, it put pro-lifers in a very strong negotiating position. Now they're negotiating different things. And, you know, I happen to be of the Ronald Reagan school in terms of exemptions where you have the life of the mother,
right.
rape, and
incest, mother's life.
So you have that. And I think, you know, for me, that's something that works very well. And for probably 80, 85%, because don't forget, we do have to win elections. But I did something that nobody could do. And I also made them the radicals because they are willing and able to kill babies in the 9th month. They're willing to kill babies. That's radical. Pro-life isn't radical. They've made pro-life radical, the other side. Pro-life is not radical. What's radical is killing a baby in the 8th month, the 7th month, the 9th month, or even the babies after the baby's born. And you know, unfortunately, we have a lot.
They're killing babies.
And you saw that in the midterms. I think it was a big factor that didn't really know how to talk about what we did with Roe v. Wade and what we did on pro-life. They didn't know how to talk about it. And it energized the Democrats, and they used that. I mean, they used that as a commercial. You wouldn't believe it.
Well, what should the
But especially when you didn't have the exceptions. When you didn't have the exceptions, they went after the people like viciously. The ads, and those people did not, generally speaking, they didn't do very well in terms of election. But when you have the exceptions and you go through the whole gamut, it's something that's an incredible thing. But one thing it really did, though, Sean, is it gave people that are pro-life a great power to negotiate.
This is the lamest argument.
Roe v. Wade sitting in there where you could do.
That's why he did it. That's why abortion is now fucking criminalized. Because to give an argument.
To negotiate something really, really good.
I'm telling you, the only reason why he has to say this is because, I said this before, the only reason why he has to, like, basically massage it is because he knows it's an unfavorable position.
Abortion on abortion and abortion rights and pro-life. I did more than Trump. Well, only stupid people would say that because everyone said there was no way that Roe v. Wade